Welcome to Good Day Street Talk, everybody. I'm Antwan Lewis. Here's what we're working on today. Using the arts to empower our communities. A Brooklyn-based poet is using spoken word as a form of spiritual healing. We'll explain. Up next, Brooklyn poet Madi Dangerously is using her creative expression to unlock your spiritual freedom. We'll talk about that when we come back. All right, and we are back. As you know, poetry can stir our creative imaginations, but can it also be healing? Well, poet, performing artist, and wellness creator Madi Dangerously says yes, and she's here to prove us correctly this morning. We thank you so much for being with us on the couch today, Madi. Nice to meet you. Okay, you look nice. Tell me, how did you get inspired and marry these two thoughts?
You know, I was always a writer, and then I feel like as you get older and you go through certain things in life, you go through, life starts lifing, you know what I mean? I ended up coming back to my art as a way to get me through it and to just to keep me centered during some very turbulent times, and I recognized the healing power that had. And also, you know, everyone listens to music. I always recognize how that would shift my energy or how it would change me. So I started doing more intentionally in recognizing that, okay, this can help other people. You know, by sharing things that are empowering, things that inspire people, things that help people realize that they're not alone in situations.
As we saw in the last segment with Sean Milady, you know, it takes a lot of confidence to put your creativity out, you know, for others, especially in the climate to which we're all now between social media and things. Did you have any concerns at all about sharing your gift?
Yeah, I was one of those people who I had to be forced to share my writing with people. I would have teachers that would try to push me always to perform, and I always kind of pushed that away and wasn't what I wanted to do. But once I had that direct personal connection with it of why I was doing it, I felt like I had this obligation, like I had to do it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't up to me anymore. You know?
Something else was not pulling the strings, but driving the car, guiding you. Absolutely. So now what you do is centered on healing. Now, how is it being received as far as what you're sharing, you know, when you're doing this and when you're sharing your gifts with everyone?
I will say my work is received pretty well. A lot of times I'm in spaces where people think that they don't like poetry, or they think that they don't want to hear spoken word. A lot of time I'm at other events with other musicians and stuff like that, and then I perform and they go, wow, like you took me somewhere else. You know, you made me reflect on some things that I hadn't really connected or put together, and you know, so the feedback that I got was what really let me know that, okay, this is real. This is not just me having this experience or having this, you know, thought that this makes sense, you know?
So now tell me about the venues and how you were sharing, and do you give everyone a backstory, or you just walk us through what a typical Madi Dangerously experience is like?
I've had the blessing to perform at lots of different spaces. I've performed for nonprofits. I've performed, you know, outside, outdoor park situations. I've performed at legendary venues like SOBs, Brooklyn Museum. So, I mean, I go wherever I'm called to be in, and it's always just a mirror, you know, that other people are feeling what you're feeling, and I need what you need as well.
You said you've gotten feedback from just some of the audiences, you know, that you've been performing in front of. Have they shared, or what you have gleaned so far, as to be the reasons why, you know, a lot of us are struggling with well-being when it comes to, you know, mental wellness?
They have shared that they're going through it, but I don't think people understand why we're all going through it. And I feel like because we're fighting against, you know, the grain of what we're told life is supposed to be or how we're supposed to live. And the solution is really for us to all go within and find out what works for us. And once we start living more authentically, and once we start living from a place of integrity, you know, we're able to thrive in new ways, you know, and get out of our way.
That's the important part, you know, about trying to make sure that we are not in our way. When confronted with that, you know, just on your own journey, how did you get out of your own way, if you can share that with us?
I had to sit still for a little bit. You know, I had to sit with myself. I had to reflect. I had to be honest and take accountability for certain things and recognize what's in my control and what's not in my control, and letting go of what's not in my control and just focusing on what I can do to be the best me that I possibly can be.
So Fox has a show called 99 to Beat.
Yes.
You were on the show. Tell us about that, because it's a relatively new show.
It is a relatively new show. This is the first season in the U.S., and we filmed with 100 people. I was one of the contestants, and the premise of the show is you can't finish last. If you're last in any challenge, you're the person that gets eliminated. It definitely took me outside of my comfort zone, and it was a really great experience, but also kept me on my toes and had me, you know, channel a lot of the stuff that I don't teach, but that I share with others as far as like being, strong within yourself and being like unshakable and having that confidence, to be able to tackle things in front of you, whether you can do it or not.
We are in a time now where some would say, like diversity and who we are, ethnically, is under challenge, to some. Have you run into that? Do you feel it yourself? And how are you staying true to your mission, Madi? I'm
affected by it because I see it happening to people around me. Because I work mostly for myself and mostly within the arts, so my work feeds me, which I'm very grateful for, and also helps me to heal myself at the same time. But I do see that like we need to step more into our arts, step more into our creative energy to heal us, to activate us, to be connected with our power, so that we recognize that we can actually do something, that we can make changes when we really want to. So that's, I feel like, the biggest thing for me as an artist is reminding people of that, to use their voice and how their voice is important. And what we choose to do with our voice and what we choose to do with our actions makes a difference.
When did you get started? When did you first start sharing Madi Dangerously with the Tri-State?
I would say Madi Dangerously was born around 2015.
Okay.
Or so. Before then, I was just going by my regular name.
Okay. Oh, we got your stage name. No, yes. your professional name. We'll keep it at that.
And I made a definitive decision. Because I've always loved writing, and anyone who's been a writer knows how obsessive of a passion that it can be. You can literally be locked at your computer for days writing and not wanting to do anything else. And I recognized, I was like, okay, this is always going to be a part of me. So how am I going to work this into my actual life and not make it be this separate thing that I'm trying to do on the side, And I remember sitting with myself and realizing that, I'm going to start sharing my stuff with people. And I just broke out into tears. I just started crying because there's a part of you, it's like we want to be seen, but we don't. We don't want people too much, in our business and knowing, this people know what makes me sad, or that this hurt me, or that I felt strongly about this, or that kind of thing.
And so where are you with that now?
I don't care anymore. If I feel it and then I feel moved to express it, then that's all that matters, because I'm a human being. We have an abundance of emotions and feelings, and all of them are okay. And I feel like it's understanding that. And I think we want to censor ourselves or only show certain parts that we think are the good parts, but it's like, no, all of us is good, even the parts that we may not like about ourselves sometimes. And I feel like the harder poems that I wrote that came from those heavier places, those are the ones that people love. People want to hear. People ask me to perform, and I'm like, you want to hear that? Like. Because I know what it makes me think of, but they're like, no, that makes me feel good. That reminds me of X, Y, Z.
So and how does that make you feel, Madi?
It makes me feel really good, and it also reminds me that it's not just about me. I'm just a vessel, you know what I mean? I'm here to channel certain things, to share it with others, and just because it may have been born from my experience doesn't mean it's all about me, you know what I mean? So once you share it to people, you kind of release it to the world, it becomes bigger than you.
Where can people find you?
You can find me online on the socials, Madi Dangerously, MADI, the word dangerously. Also on my website, MadiDangerously.com, Dangerously.
Okay, look at you here representing Brooklyn. Stay right there.